Are diaphragmatic support and the Appoggio merely synonyms for what is essentially the exact same breath management or breath support strategy? Well, in this video, I'm going to explain to you why these two terms are not synonymous. And without delving too much into the pros and cons of each, explain to you some of their basic differences. So now, I don't know if you've noticed this, but there are a lot of contemporary singing teachers that are adopting these Italian terms that come from these long-standing, reputable classical traditions and grafting them into their own working vocabulary. And oftentimes they do so because it lends credibility or validity to their own teaching and methods. And let's face it, using these Italian terms makes them sound a little bit more, well, educated in vocal pedagogy. However, oftentimes they use these terms without having a complete understanding of all that they entail.
You keep using the word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
So don't be deceived. Just because somebody is calling something Appoggio, it doesn't necessarily mean that that term is representative of what they're actually teaching you in terms of the coordination or the technique. Diaphragmatic support, as it's currently taught by most singing teachers, entails expanding the abdominal wall forward, and in some cases as far forward as possible, and then in order to generate subglottal pressure and initiate the tone, thrusting that abdominal wall inward and the diaphragm upward. Now, that stands in complete opposition to the teachings and objectives of the traditional Appoggio. In the traditional Appoggio, the goal is actually to slow down or to delay the ascent or the rise of the diaphragm. And this is accomplished essentially by not allowing the ribs and the sternum to sort of sink in and maintaining a 360-degree lateral expansion for a good portion of the vocal phrase. This slows down the rise of the diaphragm, and that gives the singer greater control over the subglottal pressures, as well as the ability to pace the outgoing breath effectively and to conserve or economize the breath. One other thing that's often misunderstood about the Appoggio is that it isn't simply a breath management strategy. It also encompasses aspects of resonance. So when we maintain this inspiratory hold for as long as is both possible and comfortable, the diaphragm's rise is slowed down. That in turn manages subglottal pressures effectively. And when that is the case, the larynx tends to want to assume a more comfortably low posture. And when the larynx is in that comfortably low posture, that in turn has an effect on the resonance. And that in turn helps to create this chiaroscuro timbre that is both characteristic of and desirable in classical styles of singing. So there's a reason why the Appoggio has become sort of the standard breath management strategy across most classical singing schools, and that's because the vocal phrase in classical singing tends to be considerably longer than it is in commercial styles. So the singer's need to be able to economize that outgoing breath is significantly greater than it is in commercial styles of singing in which the vocal phrases tend to be shorter. So even though in commercial styles of singing, the singer doesn't necessarily need as much air or to actually conserve the air or pace it in quite the same manner, there still remains the need to mitigate subglottal pressures, especially for high and intense singing tasks. And so that's where I think that this Appoggio is applicable even to contemporary styles of singing. So now that I've clarified that, we can have a common vocabulary going forward. So I hope you'll stay tuned for the remainder of this breath management series. In the next installment, I'm going to talk specifically about muscle groups and how to be able to generate, manage, steady, and also vary our subglottal pressures and the actual coordination of the particular muscle groups. So please stay tuned. And take a moment also to subscribe to this channel so that you'll receive a notification the next time one of those videos is posted. So thank you so much for watching today.